Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. A final between France and Norway. France wins the match by a score 4-1. They scored in the final minute. Extra time, what was that, Pauly, about the 94th, 95th minute?
Yes.
So they won all three of their matches in their group play, and they won it with 9 points. They win, obviously, in the round of 32 as well. And Norway basically sat everybody. And, that news broke today around 8:45 a.m. Pacific time. Was able to get down on France minus 160, pretty decent bet. And that touched almost $3. But it made sense, right? They played everybody. Mbappe played till the 80-plus minute, whatever.
It was easy.
And Holland wasn't out there, and they sat like 10 guys.
It was a dream scenario, much like what Senegal had as well.
Yeah.
They lead 5-0 in the 92nd minute. Norway plays Ivory Coast now, and that's a banger.
That's a really good match. We go out to the progressive guest line now. Anthony Dabbundo joins the program. Great World Cup coverage, covering it for The Ringer. Anthony, thanks for the time today. What is your initial thought on the match that Pauly just talked about, Norway getting Ivory Coast next?
Yeah, I think that automatically becomes one of the most enticing matchups of the round of 32. I mean, Norway, we didn't really get to see the real Norway today, but Ivory Coast to me has been really impressive through this part of the group stage. They played basically about as even as with Germany as you can. They actually won and out-created Ecuador, a team that I think is a top 12 team in the world. So in terms of overperforming expectations, there's no team I've upgraded more than Ivory Coast to this point. And we know the talent that Norway has. Norway looked a little vulnerable out wide defensively in this tournament, and that's an area where Ivory Coast can exploit. So arguably that and Netherlands-Morocco, the two most exciting knockout matchups so far.
I think Brazil-Japan's great, too, on Monday. And Brazil about $1.40 favorite in that one. How about that match?
Absolutely. Japan went toe-to-toe with the Dutch, looked very competitive there. I think Brazil is an interesting team because they lose Rafinha, and we don't expect him to be back for this match. They started a teenager in Ryan, and he shines in the match against Scotland, creates the two high turnovers that lead to the first and the second goal in that match. He gets the assist on the first one. And it looked more and more like Brazil of old, the Brazil we're used to seeing, whereas I thought their first match, they really struggled to deal with giving the ball away constantly. Like it was a constant flaw of the Brazilians. The way they fixed that issue, granted against weaker competition, Haiti and Scotland, gives me some encouragement that they're figuring it out, but wouldn't be surprised if Japan gave them some problems. I mean, Japan's such an excellent transition team. They pulled big upsets at past World Cups against Spain and Germany and took Croatia to penalties. So Japan very comfortable in that underdog role. They're a very coordinated press. I agree with the fact that Brazil's a pretty solid favorite there, and they've turned it around, but Japan 2-1, not a bad price.
Anthony, what do you make of this movement on the number involving Spain and Uruguay coming up 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock out here on the West Coast? A day ago, Spain was higher than a $2 favorite. Right now, they can be had as low as $1.40, $1.45.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the calculus has changed for Uruguay. Coming into this match, Uruguay would have felt coming into the match day that a draw might have been enough for them. However, the way this has played out with South Africa pulling off an upset, Ecuador getting a huge win, Senegal winning by 5 goals today, the margin, the calculus has changed for Uruguay. A draw is probably not going to be enough for them because if there's a winner in that other match, they're going to be the third place team. And now third place with an even goal differential looks a lot dicier, especially if Algeria and Austria play for a tie tomorrow. Congo is a favorite to win tomorrow. So all of a sudden, Uruguay has to be even more aggressive. What does that look like for Uruguay? Because they already dial it up to a 10 with their press, with their energy. And then what does Spain look like? I mean, we've seen a half of Lamine Yamal. We've seen a handful of Nico Williams minutes, but it still seems to me like Spain is trying to slowly work their best attacking players into this tournament. So does Spain go all out? If it's 1-1 late, are we going to see Uruguay be able to put pressure on Spain? Because Spain is so good at just strangling games that I think it's a tough ask for Uruguay to pull off this upset. And now, a draw is not even good enough. So they kind of need 3 points.
I'm glad you mentioned it, and many are calling it the mess in Kansas City. Could Algeria, Austria play out like Paraguay and Australia, where they're both happy with the draw and nothing happens?
Well, I don't know if you guys know the history of the disgrace of Guillaume, but it was a match at the World Cup 44 years ago. Mm-hmm. And West Germany played against Austria, and they basically did a handshake 1-0, which knocked Algeria out of the World Cup. Back then, they didn't play the match at the same time. 44 years later now, we have Austria and Algeria. It would be a fun little revenge if Algeria got revenge for them and beat them and knocked them out. But I think ultimately it's going to be very similar to Paraguay and Australia. I mean, the market closed even money on that draw last night, and I think this one should honestly be odds on because those two teams are the last two teams of the group stage. They're going to know exactly what result they need, and I think what the numbers are going to tell them when they sit down tomorrow night for this game, it's going to say, hey, if either team loses, you're out. If it's a draw, you're both in. At that point, who's making the first move, right? I think a draw is probably the most likely outcome there, and Algeria will happily advance to the round of 16 or round of 32 with Austria. Now, Austria draws the short stick. They're probably going to have to play Spain, but Algeria would be advancing as well.
Excellent breakdown. Thank you for that. I couldn't believe last night in the first hydration break, the in-play total went to a half, over minus 190 in the Paraguay match.
You don't see totals close at 1.5 very often. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
I think you might see it for Mexico and Ecuador when they play in the round of 32. But yeah, that was pretty wild. And honestly, I think tomorrow night could be very similar. So keep an eye on that. I know, people have looked at different ways of potentially betting that game as well. But I think the unders have been a pretty safe way to go in those games. But that being said, all it takes is one, right? Once the first goal goes in, everything changes, right? The other team now has to go all out to try to get that equalizer. It's just like if it is tied late, there's so much incentive to not lose.
You like
anything? It almost
anything?
outweighs everything else about the game.
Anthony Dabbundo, our guest, ringer.com, progressive guest line. This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. What do you make of the Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia match coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern time?
Yeah, I think this has been the market has gotten really fallen in love with Cape Verde, and I get it. They've been the story of the tournament. They get the heroic draw with Spain. Then they get a little fortunate with some goalkeeper woes of Uruguay, and they pull out a 2-2 there. But the reality is through two matches, they've created almost no chances from open play, like zero. And I do worry about them if they fall behind and have to play their way back into the match. However, they have shown themselves to be a very competent defensive team. Cape Verde is in another interesting spot where they kind of need to scoreboard watch because a draw could be enough for them, right? If Spain wins and they get a draw, they're through. But if they end up in that third place spot, that might not be enough. So Cape Verde is in a weird spot. I think they're very comfortable playing in a situation where they know that a draw is probably enough. So I think this will play out to be pretty low scoring. I did bet under 2.5 here, minus 130.
Panama has yet to score in the entire tournament. Now they get England tomorrow. Can you envision them getting a goal in that match?
Panama's come close. I think they've been a little unlucky to not have any points to show for their two performances at the World Cup. They were better than Ghana for most of that match. Yeah. You conceded in stoppage time. You were very competitive with Croatia, but they didn't really have much of an attacking punch. Their most important attacking player, Carrasquilla, hasn't really played in this tournament, and I can't imagine he's playing tomorrow, given that they've already been eliminated and he's been battling this injury. So with Panama, Reece James out for England. That's a pretty big loss for their defensive line. England's defensive line showed cracks in both games. They kept a clean sheet against Ghana, but really should have given away a penalty. So I think Panama, what do they have to lose, right? They're already out of the tournament. They're going to give it a go. Ultimately, I think England will find their way to get all 3 points here. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Panama got on the board. Every team at the World Cup has scored except for one. So I'm kind of rooting for Panama to get on the board.
Mm-hmm. Did we play things the right way last night? What did you think of the USA's performance and then getting ready for Bosnia Wednesday?
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of takeaways that we didn't already know, right? So much of the struggles of the United States over the last 3 or 4 years since the last World Cup have come down to the fact that they very rarely had their first team healthy and the second team has disappointed, right? The combination of players they put together to form these back lines and these makeshift midfields. I mean, going into the match, when they're rolling up with Berhalter, McKennie, and Reyna as the three-man midfield, that's a pretty lackluster defensive midfield, and that proved to be the case. And then, not starting Chris Richards, who's been their most important player the last few years, the defense had a lot of lapses, and I thought that was clear. But I was pretty impressed with Berhalter as a whole. His set-piece prowess is something that could and probably will matter at some point in this tournament, right? If they're in a game against Bosnia or against Egypt or against Senegal in the round of 16 and they're struggling in the second half, maybe Berhalter is the one who comes in, and his ability to play passes, to play free kicks and corners. I mean, that is a difference-making skill in a tournament like this when you're facing these tougher defenses. So I think that's a thing we learned and we knew already, but we saw it on display. I mean, Berhalter's set pieces last night were unbelievable. With that being said, if anybody gets hurt, Adams, Richards, Dest, Robinson, it's a big downgrade to the backup defenders.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, about a minute left here. I'm anticipating a banger tomorrow in Miami, Colombia and Portugal. Is there a bet to be made in that match, in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge gap between these two teams, to be quite honest. I think Colombia is very comfortable defending without the ball, and you have to do that against this Portuguese team. I think Portugal finally had their get-right spot against Uzbekistan, and Ronaldo got his goals, which is really important for them as a team. I think he'll be more unselfish now that he's on the board. But there's still a lot of limitations to this Portuguese attack, enough so that I think, plus a half on Colombia is a decent look, and I think they'll get the draw and win the group here. Pretty big difference, too, right? Whoever wins the group will probably have the easier path to the quarterfinals. Whoever comes in second probably gets Spain in the round of 16. So a huge difference in this group. And that match is really important. And it's Colombia and Portugal and Miami. I mean, what else can you ask for?
Yeah, no kidding. Doing a great job, Anthony, covering this for The Ringer. Thanks so much for the time today. Enjoy the rest of the matches that we have coming up tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night, guys.
Anthony Dabbundo, covering it, podcasting, writing about it at ringer.com, theringer.com.
Meat Man and Nigel are fantastic. I think you could get a big Belgium performance, though, tonight, and based on and similar to what Senegal did. Only one goal so far, but 15 shots against Egypt and 23 against Iran. I think they can explode tonight.
We'll get into Major League Baseball coming up next. They're making a major mistake by trying to eliminate player props. We shall discuss it from a betting perspective with tonight's card next on VSiN.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
How quickly things have changed in Major League Baseball. The landscape of accepting betting as something that is wildly popular in this country after PASPA came down in 2018 and it was going to grow nationally. I mean, Pauly, they created a show every day that was very good called Bettor's Eye. Mm-hmm. You and I were doing daily hits on the network for like a year and a half or a couple of years. And then you get a couple of players in hot water, like the Guardians, relievers from last year. And all of a sudden it's like, nope, we don't want anything to do with betting anymore. Well, they did sign a $300 million contract. I believe was a number with Polymarket back in March. And then the news came out last night that the MLBPA reportedly wants to ban player prop betting across the board. Sports books, fantasy sites, prediction markets. I'm very confused at this after they signed that deal with them. And why the quick 180 like this, despite a couple of their players getting into trouble, obviously.
They're saying it's the harassment. And they can't go on social media.
The players can't.
Yep.
Yep.
They can't take it. Then it's just too much.
Riley Green was outspoken about it for the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
He would get DMs, obviously people he would have no idea. And he's like, they were so vicious, I can't even repeat what they were trying to say to me. And that's the biggest problem that stems from this whole thing. Don't do that.
Well, why aren't these people banned from social media platforms? How is that just not, you're immediately kicked off when you're threatening someone's life or threatening someone's family, right?
Right.
Like, what do you need to do?
Right.
And the sports books are doing, I think, a better job, but most of them are saying we will ban your accounts and we'll kick you out if you threaten people and you're banned for a lifetime if you do that.
Well, first of all, that's the biggest problem is that you are an absolute bottom feeder as a human being to do that.
It's a big problem in tennis, especially with the women.
Yeah. You don't talk about being a pathetic loser.
Mm-hmm.
Just inexplicable and completely unacceptable. Here's where, and what more books should do. I think this is great from Fanatics. They have, as kind of to your point, They announced a new technology partnership yesterday that will allow the operator to suspend or ban bettors who abuse athletes on social media. I hope that every other sports book and every other prediction market across the country can have that same technology, and you get the lifetime ban. And I know people are going to come up because they're so ridiculous. They'll come up with try to get ways around it. You should also, honestly, you should be looking at jail time as far as I'm concerned. Again, I can't explain to the audience right now how big of a complete loser you are as a human being to do this. And I mean, if the players are going to be this outspoken about it, Major League Baseball is trying to do something as a result. It's unfortunate that it got here, obviously, to this point. But that's what the Players Association is trying to do now. Green, quote, Riley Green, people would DM me and say nasty things, tell me how bad of a player I am, and say nasty stuff that we don't want to hear. It sucks. It's the world that we live in. Can't do anything about it. I can't imagine having that mentality. Now,
well, look at Duran for the Red Sox. He goes on Netflix and tells the truth about I was suicidal, and he, every frickin' game someone says something to him, and he can't escape it to the point where he wants to beat the guy up or he has to be held back.
Can you blame him?
And I don't blame him.
Of course not.
It's just I'm baffled like you are.
Well, this would be honestly a complete game changer with how we approach betting on baseball moving forward. Reports came out that player props account for about between 20 and 30% of the actual amount wagered on a game. Certainly, you're going to have bigger bets that books will take on sides and then totals, obviously. And then it comes down to the player props. But, I mean, I have transitioned. And now this is funny because I go back to when we were doing the show. Remember, it was Keith and Stryker on Better's Eye, and they were always doing these, at the time, we thought, obscure player props, like they're talking about total bases and hits, runs, errors, and getting into all this jargon that wasn't even, and we were also, side note, owned by DraftKings, and they did not want us dabbling with offshore accounts, so there's that. So when we were talking about it from our perspective, like using legal national books, there was nothing out here in Nevada. Like, okay, then we had to go from handicapping games, first five, Yerfie-Nerfies, totals, into accepting and finding more books that would actually put out player props. Like, okay, this is really a fun way to bet the sport and probably something that you can exploit a little bit better. Because, I mean, we're talking about how many bad beats we've had so far in the World Cup. Soccer is very difficult to beat. The beats that you take in baseball, it might be the hardest sport overall.
Is there going to be a compromise here where they just say everything has to be positive? You can't bet anything negative from a prop standpoint with unders? Like if you have over strikeouts or home runs, over total bases, but there can be nothing negative, so you don't have the ridiculous stuff on social media or like you had with the Cleveland Guardians players as well.
I could see something like that where a sports book is going to make it, as long as they could still partner with Major League Baseball, and you can only put up a positive result.
Yeah.
That way the players are not going to be, I mean, what are they going to do? Are you going to have a player like tonight for the Cubs say we have no chance against Mizorowski, I'm going to bet his K-prop over? It seems very unlikely to me.
Yeah. But this has been a big change, though, and it's gone. I'm shocked that's what's transpired. To think Rozier, Porter, what's happened in MLB. Yeah. Also, shame on the books for taking ridiculous limits, and a guy can walk up and bet a same game parlay and win $500,000 on all these unders with a guy I've never heard of. Mm-hmm. But it goes back to when we had All-Star Weekend here in Las Vegas, and I asked David Stern because he was so anti-gambling, and I don't want the home team fans to walk away sad because the team won but didn't cover. But then he was concerned about maybe would a player do something like this, and I'm like, David, they're making $100 million. No one's going to walk into a sports book, but you know what? Sure enough,
I know.
But
you have the Class A situation.
But also at the time, though, he was condescending to me when you had a private investigator following around Donaghy. That was going on at the same time.
Oh, he's lying to your face.
Sure.
The entire media that day.
But certainly you go back that far, and it's just what you envision you couldn't envision actually happened. And even for $100,000, and hell, you had it with a coach with what Billups did with the mafia and poker games.
Crazy.
So it has been nuts the last 5 years.
This is a tweet from Austin Herdina, who has listened to the show, responded in the past. He's a sportsbook manager, I believe, in the Midwest. He said it's pretty bold of Major League Baseball to take hundreds of millions from sports books and partnerships and then potentially turn around and tell the sports books what they can't do. I know. I trust me. I had an odds maker in Las Vegas actually send me the story last night, and he's just like, it's completely preposterous that we're to this point. And remember when we had at the same time a year or so ago, Thomas Gable and Richie Baccelleri, two longtime odds makers, on at the same exact time. They're just like, it's not that difficult. And because Richie was in charge of the live stuff a long time ago with Cantor Gaming, like in 2008, 2009, he's like, well, we could take a nickel. And that's what you can do. You're not going to offer your VIP players a chance to win a couple $100,000 on like under bets or first pitches. We'll take a nickel. That's what we're going to do. Be happy with it or else go somewhere else. It's like, yeah, okay. As for tonight, listener Lance thinks the Miz kid is going to absolutely mow down the Cubs, and he bet Suzuki. He laddered his K prop because he's been striking out a lot. So he bet Suzuki like 2+, 3+, and 4+ Ks tonight at the plate. And some projections I've seen Mizorowski touching like 9.5 or 10. But what's new? He's like the best pitcher in baseball.
And Skeens has incredible numbers lifetime against the Reds. You're paying a tax. He's $1.80 at home. And I know that they had that long stretch where they couldn't win a game when he started. But to be career 5-0 and 6 starts with an ERA under 1.5, incredible numbers. He is going against Abbott, too, who I respect a lot.
Yeah,
but these are, so you want to go K prop there or maybe lay in a run if they think the juice is too much. But Skeen's lifetime numbers against the Reds it's ridiculous.
Can I give you I thought we had 2 fishy games on the board yesterday. One, I thought the Blue Jays were too cheap. They lost. The other one, Schlittler and the Yankees. I avoided that one big time. He was off that masterpiece.
6 unearned runs or whatever it was. I mean, come on.
So the one to me tonight, look, the Cardinals have been a great story. McGreevy's numbers are completely fugazi. And I'll tell you this.
An under machine.
Yeah.
He was 12-2 under run before last start.
The guy who he is facing tonight for the Marlins, Max Meyer, nothing fugazi about him. How is Max Meyer in Miami? Oh, by the way, the Fish have the most wins out of any team in the entire month of June. They've been red hot. How are they even money? It scares the daylights out of me. Meyer should be like a quarter, $1.25, maybe even a touch higher than that in this game. I don't get it. And so I haven't touched it yet. And I didn't touch those 2 games yesterday because I thought the Blue Jays should have been much higher than what they were. And Gossman he got rocked immediately in that game. So I don't know. I'll probably get down on it before first pitch. Forcing a bet. That's always smart, huh?
That would be good with the most wins in June.
A huge number.
Story. What a story this would be. That's a monster ticket to be able to pull that off.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. LeBron goes back to Cleveland, or this superstar goes back to a team he once played for. Door 1 or door number 2? Next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN. It's time to play everyone's favorite Follow the Money game. Live from the VSiN studios.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
This is door number 1.
New high score! What does high score mean? New high score, is that bad? What's that mean? Did I break it?
Or door number 2.
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
Here's Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard.
DraftKings has added another team to this. I hope we don't get to the point where it's only positive outcomes. I would like to see some no's on this. In light of the LaMelo trade, they have now all added props and win totals on the Timberwolves. You got to pick one. Door 1, the Heat win 50. Door 2, the Wolves win 50.
I got to go door 2.
Oh.
That's really no hesitation, to be honest, because I'm anti-Heat. I don't think they win 50-plus games this year. Now, I do think they could maybe bring back Powell, which would be huge. In fact, if they lose him, then
that is big.
Then no way I'm going to bet them to win 50 games. The Wolves might work. Like, they still have a lot of talent on this team. They have done an incredible job at player acquisition / drafting in recent years. Now the trades, the Cat trade kind of backfired on them. I never really liked the Gobert trade anyway, but they've had success.
Yeah.
And I just think that Shannon can pop. I think DeSumo is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
It's too bad they don't have Dante back for this year. He's going to be out the entire time. But I'm willing to give the Timberwolves a chance, and I'll say give me that team for door number 2 to win 50 games.
LeBron goes back to Cleveland. You have a source. Or door 2, Kawhi goes back to San Antonio.
Well, I'm intrigued by both. I'd like actually both to happen. Here's the source, by the way. Remember that trainer who lived, I think, in downtown Cleveland
Yes.
12 years ago?
I made a bet because of it.
On the Cavaliers to win the...
He kept saying, I have a great source. I know these people at the gym. LeBron's coming back.
Yeah.
I got him 40 to 50 to 1 that year, and they lost in 6 to Golden State.
That's right.
Yep.
And so I don't remember how this happened, but we tracked him down on Twitter, and he came on. He was a trainer in the downtown Cleveland area, and he came on for 10 minutes, and he's like, I'm telling you right now,
100%.
I'm 100% he's coming back.
He knew.
And he did. This guy got it right.
Yeah.
He tweeted out the other day, it's happening again. Now, I kind of want to see it, and that's probably how he should retire.
I don't know about that.
Well, maybe not.
No.
But, well, by the way, Cleveland's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know what...
Got to retire a Laker. Going to be tough. Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland, L.A., Cleveland? That's
not?
how it's going to end?
I know. It's a different age that we live in now. But I would actually say give me Kawhi back to San Antonio.
Okay.
Oh, that's
I'll go
a
door 2.
game changer.
Door 1, Monday's phenomenal. Brazil, Japan. Door 2, Netherlands, Morocco.
I think the better match is actually Netherlands-Morocco, but that one absolutely stings me because I got scorched on this one. I bet both teams to make the quarterfinals. I take that bet out of the equation. I can only have one. Give me door 2 again, Netherlands and Morocco. What's that stat that you said earlier? Netherlands, they have not lost in 90 minutes since 2006.
Something like that. And Morocco, unbeaten, 47 of their last 48 contests. Something like that.
I have not looked at the times. Are we on the air Monday for one of these?
That's the Netherlands, Morocco's the late match, 6 Pacific.
Oh, we got a 10 a.m. and a 6 o'clock that day?
Knockout round now starts Sunday. We're playing for keeps. You want door 1 decided by PKs or door 2 play until there's a winner?
This is all door 2 today. I get it. These players put their bodies through hell, and the conditions are not easy, and it's...
I got to go door 2 as well.
I hate it. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't like matches that come to an end, and all of a sudden it's an unbelievable war out there for 2 hours, and then, hey, guys.
It's a little bit like the Olympics discussion with the hockey.
A little bit. It's
overtime.
very similar.
Okay. I asked Jastrzemski this when you were out, and I asked Dustin this when you were out. Also, Humans. Humans doesn't count because he was 90% from the free throw line in high school. You don't get to warm up. No warm-ups. I'm giving you $1 million. You have to score on a PK against a professional, or you have to make a free throw.
Well, actually, as I've gotten older, and now that I have a 2-year-old, I kick the soccer ball around at Sebastian all the time, so I've gotten quite good with the chops.
Like, what's the breakdown percentage-wise? Like, what are you percentage-wise right now? Walk to a gym and knock down a free throw, or you try to take a PK.
I can't warm up with that.
Can't warm up.
I like my chances better with the free throws, door 1.
Everyone picked that. I couldn't believe it.
But it's not.
I'm going door 1. I'm going PKs.
No warm up against a pro.
Yes.
I'm actually, like I said, I have much more practice in recent years kicking the soccer ball around than I do with the free throws. I just got a feeling the guy's going to read me like a book. No problem. Know exactly where I'm going to go with the ball. I'm not come on. How many times have I kicked a PK in my life?
I've got a free throw. I won a free throw contest. I'll still go with that, with the PKs. Door 1, the women of the World Cup. Or door 2, the women of every other sport combined.
Oh, this is...
I know you're strong on this.
Oh, this is a 16 versus a 1.
Smoke shows.
This is the women. Door 1, women of the World Cup all day long. No debate. I don't even look for it. And all of a sudden, here's my Twitter feed or Instagram, just like, hey, did you see this from Cape Verde? Did you see the Colombian girls? Did you see... I'm just like...
Senegal.
Oh,
strong.
It's nonstop, and it's every 4 years.
Yes.
It's not even close.
I agree. Everyone went crazy on social media, and rightfully so. In a suite, Ed Norton and Brad Pitt reacting to the first USA goal. But it got me thinking, and they can only make one. We can only make one. Door 1, Rounders 2. Door 2, Fight Club 2.
I got to go door 1.
Oh.
Now, I love Fight Club. Who didn't? It was absolutely fantastic. But, like, they put a bow on that bad boy. I don't know what they would do for a sequel. Yeah, sure.
There's ways around it.
And trust me.
How do you make Heat 2? It's a prequel and a sequel.
And a sequel, sure.
I mean, after how Heat ended.
Now, I would be cutting in line to go to Fight Club opening weekend, for sure.
Yeah.
You can have my $25, whatever it is, to go to a movie now. But who doesn't want Rounders 2? It's arguably the best gambling movie of all time, and they could easily pick this one up
I'm stunned.
from, 27, 28 years ago.
I'm stunned. That was early in Norton's career.
Yeah.
Which leads me to this, and it's a fun discussion, too. I think we did it years ago about top 5 movie characters. But door 1, Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt in Fight Club, or door 2, Tom Cruise's Les Grossman, Tropic Thunder.
I loved Tom Cruise's Les Grossman, but I got to go door 1.
Ah, come on.
Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden is one of the best characters. I mean, he just absolutely crushed that movie. He was an A+.
He was supposed to do a Les Grossman movie.
I know. I'm wildly disappointed here.
I know. Just screaming at people.
Yeah, it was too much of a cameo for me.
All right.
Give me Durden there.
Yeah. Excellent. This is good. Ed Norton with David Spade and Dana Carvey about that when they showed the movie and it premiered, box office flop, and they were booing the film.
People forget that Fight Club became such a, that became such a
phenomenon,
definitive film and everything, but it was a total financial bomb. I mean, when it came out, it didn't do well at all. I mean, I think that movie cost $60 or $70 million to make, and I'm not even sure it got to 40. I don't even know if it got to 40 million at the U.S. box office. It was very the whole, and I remember they made a very strange decision to premiere that movie at the Venice Film Festival, which didn't feel like a good fit with subtitles and all these things, and it got booed. It got booed, but I had it got booed, and I had at the hotel beforehand. Brad had said to me, he kind of pulled me to the side. He said, "How do you think this is going to go?" And I said, "I don't think this is going to go well at all." And he said, "Me neither. Let's get stoned." And he and he had flown in private, so he had a big joint, and we kind of stood in the back of this hotel. And I was, I'm like a lightweight, and Brad's like at the time
pro,
was a pro, and we I remember sitting in the back and watching the movie, and people were actively, they booed at the end, and people left in the middle of it. And at the end of it, Brad turned to me in the dark at the end of it, kind of tearful. And he said, "I think that's the best movie I'm ever going to be in."
Damn, that's incredible.
What a story.
Wow.
I can't get enough of that story.
I know.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Brad was a pro. I'm a lightweight.
They're booing, right? Yeah.
Sure.
High, sure.
He's crying.
I don't think it's going to go well. He might have been right, too. There's also a great part in that movie where it's Fincher, right? Fincher tells Ed Norton, hit him for real. And the fight in the parking lot, and he missed and hit Pitt in the ear. And that's real, where he goes, you got me in the ear. He wasn't supposed to do that, but that's in the movie.
I went to that movie with a bunch of friends. It was their second time watching it. And we were sitting behind another big group of people who had already watched the movie. They were giving everything away.
Oh, no.
I was so mad. I just I had to, guys, enough, please.
First rule about Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. That thing was huge. I can't believe, I didn't know that it was disappointing at the box office.
I didn't either. I thought it was a monster.
He's right. That's the best way to describe it, a cultural phenomenon.
Oh, no doubt,
People couldn't get enough of that movie.
It's like Scarface, absolute bomb. And then over the years,
that's true.
Got bigger and bigger and bigger. Kevin Rogers on the program next. He'll go over some pretty amazing streaks in Major League Baseball. He tracks almost everything. There is a team currently on a 14-0 underrun with this very creative prop. He'll explain with details coming up next on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Thanks for checking in, watching the show today on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio or in any of our great affiliates. We will talk a little NBA. I thought it was a really good move today for the Pistons. We'll tell you about, and player movement. LeBron's next team odds. Other players as well. We'll dive into that coming up top of the hour. Right now, we go out to the progressive guest line to talk about some streaks in Major League Baseball. Kevin Rogers joins the program now. He's with PrizePicks. You can follow him on X at RogersPicks. Been a minute, my man. How are you today?
Mitch, Pauly, good to be back on with you guys. Looking forward to going over some of the stuff with you.
Yeah, so the one that I teased, I find obscure, creative, and I want some of it. What do you have on the Mariners, and where can you find this prop?
All right, so for whatever reason, before the season, Mitch, I decided to track pitch counts, just total pitches for the entire game, not just like one or two pitchers, everything in the entire game. And I'm in Florida, so I have a Hard Rock, and they offer that prop. And the Seattle Mariners, 14 consecutive games, they've gone under their pitch count prop. So these starters apparently are just mowing away, and maybe the Mariners are swinging away at a lot of pitches because they're not extending their opponents either. But 14 straight games, those pitch counts, they're like in the 280s, 290s mostly. They've gone under all these times. So you wonder if that's going to keep up. We know how good Seattle's rotation is, but for them also on the flip side to not extend any of the opposing pitchers has been very interesting.
Love that you found that.
That is fantastic.
That is, I've never heard of that before.
Digging deep. Well done.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. And again, I don't know if DraftKings has it or FanDuel or any of those, but for whatever reason, Hard Rock has some of these funky props. And the only issue with it is the juice on it goes minus 115 each way. So you don't really get, it's not great odds. And sometimes it's minus 120 or minus 105, depending on which way it is. But again, and it goes throughout the game. It's going to change, obviously, throughout the game. But you get it before the game. I really feel like if you follow it, you could find some great times to really take advantage of it.
Mizorowski's going today against the Cubs. Cubs a weird team this year. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Good luck trying to figure them out. And Mizorowski has obviously been the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. What are you looking at with him maybe tonight? The Brewers maybe in a first five or with a K prop?
Well, what's interesting here, Mitch, is that you have really good props on both sides. And the last time these teams played at Wrigley, that was in the midst of the Cubs' long losing streak. They had lost the final two to the White Sox, and they got swept by Milwaukee, got swept by Houston. So they were not the good Cubs at that point. But Chicago right now, much better. They just swept the Mets. We know the Mets are a disaster, but the Cubs are playing better. I think it's 11-3 the last 14 overall, but 9-2-3 the last 14 in the first five for Chicago. For Milwaukee, they're 9-1-3 the last 13 in the first five. And then you bring up Jacob Mizorowski. This year, he's 11-1-3 in the first 5 innings. And in his last 9 starts, he's allowed a total of 1 run in the first 5 innings. So it's crazy that he just is shutting these teams down. And we know that the bullpen blew it late in his last start against Atlanta. But also one thing I want to mention, guys, is when he pitched last time at Wrigley, he was laying 120 or so. He's like, minus 250 tonight? Like, that's a crazy change from the game. I know Colin Ray isn't great, but my God, that's a huge overreaction, in my opinion, considering the Cubs have been playing a little bit better of late.
We mentioned Skeen's awesome numbers career against the Reds. What do you think about his K prop tonight and the trend that he's on?
Paulie, this is so interesting looking at Skeens because he started the season 5 straight unders on his strikeout prop. He's 10-1 to the over in his last 11. In spite of the Pirates not winning his last 7 starts, he's been delivering strikeouts. But I wanted to mention this, that his number tonight is 7.5. And in the last 5 starts, 10, 7, 7, 10, and 8. But in all of those, 6.5 strikeouts, or the prop was 6.5. Last time he had a 7.5 strikeout prop was against Colorado on May 12th. He had 10 in that game. He's had 7.5 twice. The other time was at Cincinnati back in early April, had just 5 strikeouts. So you're laying like 140 to go over 7.5. On the flip side, the Reds, the problem is they're on a huge strikeout streak. Opposing pitchers are 7-1 to the over in their past 8 against the Reds, 7-0 for right-handers, because the last one was against a lefty for the Brewers. But for the Reds right now, they're striking out a ton. Skeens is striking out a lot, but you want to lay 140 for over 7.5 strikeouts with Skeens to see if they can keep that streak alive.
Yeah, Probably not. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Kevin Rogers, he's on the progressive guest line. Which other players are you looking at tonight in terms of K props? I was trying to make the case a little bit earlier this hour, like the Marlins number, and you're there again. This team's been red hot this month. It seems fishy to me. How is Max Meyer even money against the Cardinals? I think he should be a favorite.
It's really crazy, Mitch, because Max Meyer has been under the radar, one of the better pitchers, just delivering in the National League. I know he's not going to be talked about Mizorowski or Ohtani or Skeens. Like, I get that, but kind of like that second level borderline all-star. In the first 5 innings, he's 13-2-1 this year in 16 starts.
Wow.
And another one here, his strikeout prop, in 7 road starts, he's hit the over all 7 times. So he will get his strikeouts even on the road. And the Marlins also 6-1 in the first 5 innings. They're past 7 against they're playing St. Louis tonight. And Meyer did beat the Cardinals earlier this year at home. So you wonder if Meyer can keep it up. But he's actually been one of the more impressive pitchers in the National League. That's not one of those big names.
13-2-1 in the first 5 this year, to go along with what you had about Mizorowski taking on the Cubs tonight. Which other pitchers taking the bump here on a Friday evening have been really good in the first 5, Kevin?
Well, Zach Wheeler, I mean, look, the Phillies, they've been terrible in the first 5 innings recently and great in the final 3 innings. We saw that in the Washington series. But Zach Wheeler, 9-2 this year in the first 5 against the Mets tonight, and the Mets are the managerial change and the mess that they are. We'll see if Zach Wheeler keeps it up. He just beat the Mets last weekend. But also Will Warren of the Yankees, after they lost last night, he's 12-2-1 this year in the first 5. Walberto Urania from the Angels, 7-1-2 his last 10 in the first 5. He takes on the Athletics tonight at home. Also, Zach Gallen, we know he's been a disaster, 0-5 his last 5 in the first 5. Also, a guy to keep an eye on, Shigano from the Rockies. They face the Twins tonight in Minnesota. He is 4-0 his last 4 in the first 5 innings. So you definitely have some streaks there going within the first 5. And also Nick Martinez of the Rays, 12-3 to the under in the first 5 as they take on the Diamondbacks tonight.
You're a big TV guy. We were just talking about Ed Norton and Brad Pitt at the USA match. It's getting a lot of hype. It's interesting to do a series after a movie. What do you think of Cape Fear?
It's okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, we talked about it during the break. De Niro was so creepy in the movie years ago that he set the bar so high. And Javier Bardem is so excellent as an actor, but nobody can live up to what De Niro did as Max Cady. And if you haven't watched it yet, I feel like because they've changed the story around a bit from the original movie. I know the last movie was a remake of the original movie from the 60s, but the last one, it's just, they're making Max Cady too sympathetic, I think, in this one. And you have question marks about him as opposed to the movie with De Niro where you're like, oh, this guy's a real creep. And this one, you're like, you're not really sure, but they changed it around. I'm going to continue to watch it. I'm not as high in it as you are, but I'm going to keep going to see how it ends.
I'm 2 episodes behind. So I need to catch up from the one last week and then the one that was released earlier today.
He's making good points.
Yeah, okay, really okay. Because
he's a great actor, but it's also
the
they are making him out at times to be a sympathetic character, and it starts with a bang. You just can't believe some of the violence and gore and what they show and how the thing starts. But it is unique, like he said, remake of a movie, and then we're going to do a 10-episode series.
I know. Anyway, Kevin, do you have a best bet tonight in baseball, or I guess anything else?
One team I kind of like, Mitch, I like Seattle tonight against Cleveland. I know that Luis Castillo has struggled a bit this year. The Mariners haven't been great against left-handed pitching, but since Jose Ramirez has been out for Cleveland, they're 3-6. So they've struggled. And the Mariners, after they got rocked the last 2 against the Pirates, I think that this line basically a pick 'em both ways. I think Seattle's worth a look here in the opener at Cleveland.
Very good. Follow Kevin on X at Rogers Picks with PrizePicks. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Great numbers as always there. And he was on the progressive guest line. By the way, so that I'm looking at a Cubs team total in the first 5. Shop around. You might find different numbers. It's 1.5 under -205. Can they squeak out 2 against the Miz? It's plus 160 to get 2 off of him. Now, he was not great.
At the Braves, yeah.
Against the Braves.
Yeah. I can't do that. I'd have to only play the over. That's just Oh, that's obscene.
You can't go under?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to take the plus money.
NBA news
Your source might be right. A move on Pauly market.
Is that right? All right. And a nice trade for the Pistons, and I can't wait to hear where that number is now looking or where it moved. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.